And today we're going to be reading Human Fnaf X Listener. Basically, we're currently in chapter 33. We're going to go back a chapter for the purpose of the recap, which is right beside it. So, basically, long story short, YN was at the pizzeria while Foxy and Goldie were recovering and at her house, basically. Not realizing that she went on her own, but they quickly, ended up figuring it out because, how obsessed they are with YN, and found a note that YN wrote for them so they wouldn't get super worried, but obviously they practically almost ignored it and obviously got super worried. We eventually changed POVs and YN is with Jack, aka the puppet, looking for the other toys. They eventually end up running to Foxy, which, as you can see, he don't listen. And Foxy immediately does not trust Jack, aka the puppet. An argument ensues, YN gets upset, and after if you keep going, eventually we find out the puppet's true intentions, which are not good, twin. This man needs to go to hell. Not good. And by the end of it, Foxy was literally seeing red. He lunged at him. It was a whole thing. Anyway. If there's any warnings, they'll pop up right about now. Chapter 33. Your POV. Hastily wiping tears from your eyes, you proceeded down the hall hurriedly. You felt sick. You felt like something was wrong. Something was wrong. Foxy didn't remember telling Jack to save you. He adamantly denied that he would ever even say that, even if he didn't remember. That was a big problem. Despite the fact that the originals had broken your trust in them several times before, Foxy would never lie to you about something like that, and he did have a point. Jack told you about what the cameras weren't able to catch, and there was no proof of any of what he said was true, yet you trusted him. What other reason would he have to save you? You felt sick. So very, very sick. Jack had lied to you. All of what he said, what he professed to you in the box, it was all a lie. All of it. You thought you had changed the toys, but you were wrong. You hadn't made friends with them. The only thing you did was reverse your roles. The only toy here was you. You let out a yelp as you bumped into something, starting to fall backwards. Goldie caught you before you could hit the ground, his hands firmly grasping your waist. He pulled you close, tugging you to himself. His head rested on your shoulder. Arms locked around you tightly, ensuring that you wouldn't leave before he was done with you. Goldie. You mumbled pitifully. I can't. Don't say anything. He whispered softly. You don't have to explain anything. I already know. Why was he so nice to you? After all that you'd done, after all the times you'd messed up, the animatronics never left your side. No matter how many times you'd betrayed them, abandoned them, treated them less than dirt, they still loved you. Girl, I wouldn't take it that far. As much as you made them feel awful whenever they messed up, they always comforted you and made you smile whenever you messed up. Sounds like we need to start fixing some things, huh? To them, you were perfect, but in reality, you knew you were far from it. I'm sorry. You wailed, burying your face into his chest. I went behind your back to make friends with them, and then I got so mad at Foxy for trying to protect me from Jack. You were right. I'm so fucking stupid. YN. He murmured sorrowfully. Please stop. Don't talk about yourself like that. Why are you still here? Why are you still here? Who's saying? I can't take my shit seriously. I'm sorry, guys. It's about to be 1 a.m. I'm sorry. Why are you still here? Goldie lifted his head off of your shoulder, peering into your orbs with shock. The sight of her teary face made his heart absolutely shatter. "Why do you even like me after all I've done?" you sobbed, your eyebrows furrowed in anger, yet your lip quivered as you continued to cry. "Much less love me. There are plenty of other girls out there who would love to be with you guys, and they never treat you as awful as I constantly do." "Stop," Goldie whispered. The look of heartache on his face was enough to make your own heart stop beating. "It's true," you continued to cry. "I don't even know how you even stand me. Bonnie, Chica, Freddy, they're with Vincent now because of me, because they try to protect me. I've done nothing but be a bother to you this whole time, but you're still here. Why?" Goldie, finally done hearing you berate yourself, silenced you with a soft kiss, with a little bit of pepper on the side. You were surprised at first, but Goldie was getting very used to openly showing his affection for you like this, because as he said before, he loved you. Now, for some reason, you felt guilty to be shown just exactly how much he meant what he said. He pulled away, leaving you staring at the ground in shame. It was selfish for you to accept his love and reciprocate it, but it would make you a monster to turn him away after all he'd done for you. Goldie looked down at you, a frown etched on his face. He had stopped you from talking ill of yourself, yes, but he couldn't stop you from thinking it and believing it to be true. He gently cupped your face in his hand, tilting your head up to look at him. "What happened with Vincent has nothing to do with you." He quickly corrected himself, his electric blue orbs gazing into yours intently. "If you honestly blame yourself for it, then you're just proving yourself wrong." You blinked. Only a faint, confused noise left your mouth. "Huh?" "The way you spoke about yourself. Do you really think all that?" You tried to look away, but Goldie wouldn't let you, his gaze stern. "You're blaming yourself for something that was caused by somebody else, just because we were affected by it," Goldie explained. "If you were as awful as you said you were, then you wouldn't have cared if you saw us again at all. You wouldn't have cried when I came back, or when Foxy came back. You wouldn't have stayed up endless nights worrying about us, and you certainly wouldn't care about those three." You gave him a suspicious look, giving a small sniffle as you tried to clear your now stuffy nose. He continued, "I already told you, YN. You're the most kind-hearted person I've ever met. This is why I warned you about how this world, the toys and Jack included, love to take advantage of things and destroy people like you. You didn't make friends with the toys because you were a bad person. You did it because you're kind. But they hurt you. They hurt the others." She protested, more tears threatening to spill down your already stained cheeks. "There are enemies, and I went behind your back to—" "You did what you thought was right," Goldie interrupted. His sapphire eyes locked with yours. "You're not a bad person because they took advantage of the second chance you gave them. Nor are you an idiot for giving them that chance in the first place." His gaze softened, a small frown on his face as he tenderly wiped away the tears that spilled down your face with his thumb. "You're wrong about that. That there are other girls out there, not like you, not better than you. You are the only one who has showed us that special kindness of yours. After all these years of being stuck in this godforsaken place, plenty of girls, even other night guards like you, have done nothing but curse and spit on us since the day they first saw us." Despite your own sadness, you felt so sorry for the originals. After how hard their life already was, everyone just treated them like monsters, when they all really were, all they really were the whole time, oh my gosh, my English, were unfortunate kids who fell victim to a murderer. You saved us. You did. Goldie gave a gentle smile, making your heart skip a beat. Loving you is something that comes very easy to us. It makes us more happy than you could imagine just knowing that we have you, and that you have us. Forever and always, man. We love you. Hey everyone, so a little bit of a short intermission here. Things are about to get very, very, very graphic, very, very fast. So this is just a little warning from your girl Dreamland, just letting you know, guys. So proceed with caution. Foxy's POV. Oof. Stuff is author's note. Stuff below is a little messed up. Younger people proceed with caution. A sickening crack echoed through the air as I landed another hit on the puppet. He bent over on his knees, panting and wheezing, coughing violently as he held his stomach. I'd broken another rib. Jack had done some significant damage to me, but after everything that happened with Vincent, I only felt a faint stinging sensation. It didn't hurt me nearly enough to stop fighting. Not that it was much of a fight anymore anyways. I stood in front of him, my knuckles dripping with his blood, the only noise in the room being Jack's wheezing and my faint panting. It only took me 5 minutes to get him to this point, where he could barely even stand. He looked like he'd faint at a moment's notice. Something felt different about this. I felt different. I'm used to being covered in blood, my own and that of an unlucky bastard's, but this was not the same. Something felt off. I was excited. Tell me again, what you said about YN? I laughed darkly. Jack only gave a grunt in response, swaying side to side, almost falling over. God, I loved this. The feeling of having someone on your complete and utter mercy. The sound of their blood dripping ever so quietly onto the floor while they still struggle with what little life they have left. It has never affected me more in my entire life than it does in this moment. I understand that we used to kill people before YN came along, but that was normal for us. It didn't make us feel better. We didn't feel anything at all when those poor bastards died. Even with their blood splattered on our faces, spilling out of the suits, we didn't feel a thing. We were practically numb. Now, just the sight of Jack's blood excited me to an alarming extent. I wanted to spill more of it, all of it, until none of the crimson liquid was left in his corpse. It was thrilling to see him coughing up blood, to see him suffering. He deserved it. He deserved it for trying to steal my kitten away from me. She belonged to me. It was only a matter of minutes before Jack was a crippled, bloody mess on the floor, unconscious and essentially dead. He wouldn't come back for a while. It was strange, though. It was such an easy fight. Compared to YN's first night back when we couldn't even stand a chance against Fred, Jack was pretty much the Goldie of the toys, whether the blonde bastard wanted to admit it or not. We couldn't hold off Goldie when he went after YN in the first pizzeria, and now his equal, the marionette, was a crumpled corpse at my feet. Vincent did something to me, but whatever the hell it was, I was feeling a little grateful for it now. I could protect her now. I could keep her with me forever, and no one could take her away from me. Not even Goldie. Getting on my knees, I sat on top of Jock's dead body as I continued to deliver furious punches to his ghostly pale face. I loved it. I loved the feeling of his cold blood on my knuckles. The noise his bones made when they cracked or snapped in half. A bead of sweat dripped down my face, mingling with Jack's blood that splattered on me from before. It trailed down my lip, and I licked away the dark, metallic liquid. I'd accidentally tasted blood before. Other people's, along with my own, but it never tasted as good to me as it does right now. I felt a grin creep its way onto my face, and I stopped my attack. Gazing down at Jack's face, I could barely recognize him through all the blood. The sight nearly warmed my heart. But that would be a lie, because it very clearly did. I sincerely smiled. Your POV. Author's note. And crazy psychopathic Foxy moment. For those of you who skipped or maybe didn't understand, Foxy lost his shit. Anyways, Goldie's words warmed your heart, and you genuinely believed them. Maybe it was because he read a lot of literature in his spare time, but Goldie could really work his magic with only words. Thank you, you whispered sweetly, a sincere smile crossing your features. I don't know what I'd do without you, really. Goldie gave a sheepish smile, then answered with honey-laced words. I could say the same thing about you, Dev. There was a mere tranquility for that brief moment, and you were grateful for it even for that short while. You remembered something important, bringing the peace to an end. Foxy! You gasped, eyes wide in alarm. I left him alone with Jack. Foxy could be really hurt. Goldie nodded in understanding, taking you by the hand gently. Stay close to me, he whispered, blue orbs gazing into yours. We'll go check on him together. I don't want to leave you by yourself here with the toys lurking around. The mention of the toys sent a painful twinge to your heart, but you discarded it quickly and gave a curt nod. The toys were your enemies now. They were all along. You couldn't forget that. It was dark, as usual, and you couldn't see very well. Had it not been for Goldie, you would have tripped over your own feet. Goldie, on the other hand, could see clearly and guided you around carefully to make sure you wouldn't fall. You couldn't tell where you were, but when one of your senses is not available, the others are heightened. The smell of blood wafted into your nose, and your breath audibly caught in your throat. Goldie felt your hand shaking in his larger one, and he gave your hand a comforting squeeze, trying to calm you down. You didn't say anything, but you were grateful for the small gesture. It provided some form of closure, knowing that Goldie was with you. But that false sense of security crumbled to dust as Goldie stopped walking and tensed up. You reached the place where you'd last seen Foxy. This time, you could very clearly see ahead of you, but you wished you couldn't, because you saw was the complete opposite of what you expected. Protectively, Goldie pulled you close to him, stepping in front of you. Oh, if it isn't Blondie. I was just about to go looking for you. Foxy was standing over Jack's seemingly lifeless body, blood splattered in his already red hair and on his clothes, even all over his face and arms. Not even when the originals had gone after Mike and Jeremy had you ever seen so much blood on him before. That wasn't his own, in any case. At least, you were more than certain that most of it did not belong to him. Not now. His demeanor had changed, and there was a different air around him than normal. This was not your Foxy, you were sure. Something was terribly wrong with him. You had a faint idea why he'd gone so far, why he turned Jack into an unrecognizable corpse. Jack may have said something about your relationship with him, which was probably what caused Foxy to lose it to the point where he would get that violent. In any case, something about the whole ordeal just seemed off. Just one look at Jack made you want to throw up that what you had managed to get down earlier. Your stomach was twisting in disgust at the sight in front of you. But Foxy didn't seem to mind at all. He even looked happy. Why, in? You're here too. Pulled from your thoughts, you looked back to Foxy, seeing him giving you a gentle smile. Despite the gesture meaning to calm your nerves, you only grew more anxious and worried. Something was not right with your friend. Something had snapped and he was mentally gone. Yes, you'd seen Foxy kill before, but he had been swift with their deaths, and made it clean enough for you to bear looking at. Clearly, he had taken his sweet time with the diseased puppet, and by the look in his eyes, he enjoyed every moment of it. You were scared of him, for the first time. That's great. His voice suddenly loses its previous cheery tone, his tongue sharp. You can watch then. Foxy's golden eyes were gleaming with something sinister, something you didn't recognize, not in him. When the gears in your head began to spin, you slowly started to fully take in the situation. It was then that his warm smile twisted into a dark grin, sending a chill down your spine. Goldie pushed you back behind him a little more, which, although through your confusion, set you on alert. Maybe Jack did something than just talk about your relationship? Your expression hardened as you thought about what might have happened to get Foxy the way he is now. Jack could have possibly told Foxy that you did kiss him, but you figured out he'd be more furious than whatever he was at the moment. Actually, anything he could have said would only make Foxy more angry. You didn't have the slightest clue what could have caused Foxy to go ballistic like that. Almost immediately, you felt like a pin had struck the part of your brain, and you remembered the only thing that could explain his behavior. Sending a quick glance to your still bandaged wrist, you remembered what Goldie had acted like when Aunt Vincent had angered him. Now Jack had managed to piss off Foxy. The urge to run far, far away from you where you were currently standing was almost overpowering. You've never felt a greater need to get the hell out of anywhere in your whole life. Foxy began to stalk closer to you and Goldie, his eyes dark and his demeanor promising a threat. Say, Blondie. Foxy started, his voice sounding unfamiliar to your ears. What do you say I finally pay you back for all the trouble in the first pizzeria? You lowered your head slightly in intimidation, gazing up at Foxy as he continued to close the distance between you, Goldie, and him. Foxy wanted a fight. Foxy, you mumbled out weakly, can we stay out of this one, YN? Foxy suddenly snarled, eyes narrowed dangerously at the blonde in front of you. You shrunk back with a whimper, pulling yourself closer to Goldie's side. Goldie was silent this whole time, tense and unmoving. You remembered that he still felt guilty for what happened between him and the originals before, and you hated the fact that Foxy was giving him such a hard time even about it now. After all, Goldie had done to help you and the others. Foxy picked up his pace. What's she hiding behind you for? Foxy growled at him. Did you lie to her again? You felt a pang in your chest at his harsh words, finding your voice only to be shut down again. Foxy, I killed the puppet. Foxy spoke loudly. He halted his stride as he was now face to face with Goldie. Goldie actually looked a little pale, but eagerly returned Foxy's burning glare. Foxy was silent for a few seconds, before finishing with narrowed golden eyes and a dangerous threat. I can kill you too. Kill Goldie? You froze. Your previous worried and frightened thoughts drowned out. Just the thought of the originals dying, especially one of them killing each other, stirred a protective instinct inside of you. Moving from your place behind Goldie, you placed yourself in front of him, staring up at Foxy with a stern look in your eyes. As long as you were still alive, you would never let harm come to your friends again. Not after what happened with Vincent. You're not killing anyone, Foxy. You snarled, your tone vicious enough to even shock you. His golden eyes roamed down to your smaller form, and you never realized just how much bigger the others were compared to you. Chica was about your height, but all the other guys were tall, and each were fairly well built. You only seemed to shrink under his fierce amber gaze. Get out of the way, YN. Foxy warned, his imminent threat now directed towards you. Your confidence wavered, but you refused to stand down. You heard me, Foxy. I won't move. Foxy's eyes lit up in fury, and you realized that you messed up. Before you could blink, Foxy had taken hold of your bandaged wrist and yanked it upwards harshly. You gave a small whimper at his harsh grip. Who did this, YN? Foxy inquired lowly, a low growl rising in his throat. His gaze never left Goldie. I was clumsy. You quickly lied. I did. Foxy didn't believe you for a second. His grip tightened unforgivingly. You let out a short scream at the pain. Foxy! You cried, grabbing onto his hand to try to pry off your other wrist. Stop it! That hurts! From behind you, Goldie wrapped his hand around Foxy's neck in a chokehold and furiously demanded, Let her go! Damn, I admit it was you! Oh my gosh, bruh. Foxy growled at him, using his free hand to force Goldie off of him. This is your fault, isn't it? You hurt her while we were gone, didn't you? Stop! You begged him again. Foxy, please, Foxy, let go! Foxy refused to look at you. His golden orb zonked on Goldie. Ugh. I should have known better than to trust you. Foxy hissed, eyes blazing. Old habits die hard, huh? You've been out to get YN since day one, haven't you? The pain in your wrist brought tears to your eyes, almost bringing you to your knees. Goldie didn't say anything in response. Foxy was far too gone already. There was nothing you or Goldie could do or say to snap him out of whatever he was in. He had deluded himself into thinking he was protecting you from Goldie, but in reality, all he was doing was hurting you. He had come back to his senses on his very own, and you hoped with all your heart that it would be very, very soon. Foxy let go of your wrist finally, pulling you behind him. You stumbled toward until you nearly tripped over Jax's corpse, which, as it would seem, was not so much of a corpse anymore. Jack's luminous violet eyes stared up at you, blinking once or twice to let you know that he was alive, somehow. You were aware of the fight going on behind you, but Jack's eyes had stolen all of your attention. Once he realized this, though, he allowed himself to take a deep breath. Despite the pain it surely caused him, his gaze never left yours. This was the guy that lied to you, betrayed you, and hurt you more than you'd like to remember, and yet he looked at you as though he wanted you to trust him. To your surprise, in that moment, you almost felt like you did. Despite everything he'd done to you, his feelings that he had confessed to you, staring into his bright eyes now made it all seem too real just to be an act. Faintly, he whispered, "Run." You'd never taken off faster. Goldie and Foxy were far too caught up in their fight to notice your absence, and you thought it was better that way. You didn't stop running until you couldn't see anymore. The darkness of the pizzeria too thick for you to navigate through. You were stuck. And you were blind. You collapsed to your knees with a wail, not being able to handle the weight of all your emotions anymore. Girl, less crying, more running. Like, he catches you, you're cooked. Like, anyways, alone and utterly helpless in the dark. You couldn't care less if the toys or even Vincent showed up to claim your life at that moment. You were completely defenseless. And too emotionally unstable to even try and fight back should someone show up. And someone did show up. Following the sound of your breathless sobbing, you were caught up in the shadows by someone you couldn't see, their footsteps finding their way to you easily. You knew they were there before they even spoke up, but you couldn't care less. Aren't they supposed to be with you, YN? Why are you all alone? You sniffle, almost immediately recognizing the voice of the person in front of you. Though you couldn't see, they had knelt down to your level, getting a closer look of your teary face. A gentle hand wiped away the tears streaming down your cheeks, the contact so familiar you could practically see him in the absence of the light. They need to get their fucking shit together, he muttered, then promised darkly. Still, I'm gonna murder those goddamn toys. That puppet bastard, too. For hurting you. Your eyes widened as your teary orbs began to dry, the soothing touch of the familiar person in front of you effectively calming you down. I warned them never to touch my angel. You knew that nickname all too well. As your eyes adjusted to the dark, you caught the gaze of a certain sapphire blue-eyed male you'd been missing. You gave a breathless sigh. Freddy. This ain't a chapter. This is the Valentine's special. Valentine's Day special. Your POV. Set in Fnaf 1. And basically, author note says, "Hi, lovely readers. Happy fucking late Valentine's Day. And before you shout at me for only having the originals in this Cool Your Jets, Reader Chan, Fnaf 2 people will be in part 2 of the special. The originals won't be in the second part at all. Part 1 is solely so that the originals can get some love. Part 2 is solely for the toys. If you still like them, that is. Author Chen feels a little bad for making Puppet the bad guy right before Valentine's and making Foxy go crazy, so sorry. Anyways. Today, you found yourself bored at home with nothing to do, which was rare. Usually, you'd be asleep all day until your shift started at night. But last night had been a little rough on you. You ended up falling asleep around 1 a.m., only to wake up in your bed at home with a small note on the table from the animatronics who, so kindly, had brought you home after letting you sleep through your shift. You were well rested and had some more energy than you were used to. So, what did you decide to do with yourself? For some strange reason, you showed up at the pizzeria immediately. The lack of workers had startled you, and watching the manager pace around the pizzeria, trying to make sure everyone got their orders, had made you feel bad enough to offer some assistance. Why were there missing workers today of all days, you might ask? Because Valentine's Day was tomorrow, and everyone was out on some sort of weekend vacay with their Valentines. You were single, as per usual, and had nothing better to do anyways. So here you were. The manager had gladly accepted your offer and even offered to pay you for the help, which left you in a day uniform of a shirt with with the pizzeria's logo on it and an apron to match as you got busy. Despite the pizzeria being crowded and filled with a bunch of hungry customers, you found the atmosphere to be fairly pleasant, compared to the night shift anyway. Then again, 3 pairs of robotic eyes were on your back the whole time was a little uncomfortable. Since the very moment you stepped foot inside the pizzeria, the animatronics' eyes were practically glued on you, following you around as you scurried to the kitchen, packed with pizza trays in your hands. Occasionally, they would go on break, or so the manager said, so they wouldn't get overheated and malfunction. They hadn't had one yet, and it was almost noon, so you figured they'd get one soon enough. No doubt they'd come find you and ask why you were there, but you didn't really care. Admittedly, the pizzeria was a lot more crowded than you initially thought, and you were fairly wrapped up in your work. Bustling around the restaurant, you worked tirelessly for 4.5 hours before finally the manager granted you a break. And the animatronics got one too. Their gaze followed you as you walked out of the room and into the office where you could find some rest. After all, none of the other workers went in there, and it was practically all yours. Ever since it was... What? Hold on. All yours since it was where you spent 6 long hours every night. Before you could even set yourself down on the chair, a now human animatronic has sped down the hall to meet you. Pausing in the doorway, you turned your head to the side to see Bonnie in a waiter's uniform, wearing a hat that hid his ears. He panted as he stood there, trying to catch his breath after running to catch up with you. YN, he breathed out, stumbling over to you. The crimson-eyed young man nearly collapsed in front of you, had it not been for you catching him. His larger frame weighed much more than you did, and it was difficult to keep him up. His head nestled in the crook of your neck. His arms draped over your shoulders. "Geez, Bonnie," you squeaked. "You can't be that excited to see me." His previously limp body straightened as he regained his balance, his weight gradually lifting off of you with a sigh from him. "Oh," he mumbled warmly. "Yes, I can." You gave the bunny a comforting pat on the back, and his arms were slung over your shoulder, now tightened around you, pulling you close to him. "I only saw you last night, Bonnie." You giggled softly, smiling. "I know I fell asleep, but come on. It wasn't that long ago I talked to you. You fell asleep at 1 a.m. He protested, dramatically. His last breath a gasp. "We only had an hour with you before you were just out cold." You frowned. "Why not just wake me up then?" Bonnie pulled back from you, his hands on your shoulders as he stared into your eyes. He took a deep breath before opening his mouth to speak, steadying his racing heart. "Because you look cute when you're asleep," he told you seriously. You blinked owlishly, the stern look on his face surprising you. All you could do was give out a faint mumble. "Okay." Bonnie's face relaxed as a wide grin stretched across his face, his bright ruby red eyes alight with mischief. "Besides, you know I'd never miss a chance to cuddle with my princess." "Not that you ever got one, bunny boy." Oh my gosh. Bonnie scowled, an angry pout on his face as he glared back at the bear in the doorway. "You dick." Bonnie muttered snidely. Freddy only smirked, striding towards the two of you. When you caught his electric blue eyes, he sent you a smile. "Hey, YN," he greeted kindly. "It's nice to see you. Did you sleep well?" You blushed awkwardly, returning his smile shyly. "Yeah, thanks." "Quit your bullshit, fuck bear." Bonnie snarled at him, letting go of you to turn and face Freddy. Freddy only grinned, a devious look in his eyes as he stared at you. He started, ignoring Bonnie and striding over to you. "Valentine's Day is tomorrow." Freddy was face to face with you now, much taller his much taller self looking down at you as you stared up at him. Bonnie wasn't at all happy with the scene. You wouldn't happen to already have a Valentine, would you, Ian? Freddy's blue orbs hid something sinister behind them, and underneath the innocent question laid an ominous threat. If you did actually happen to already have a Valentine, you would be fearing for their life right at that moment. Bonnie's scowl faded, replacing the fire in his crimson orbs with an intense curiosity. He gazed at you, an eyebrow raised in suspicion. You gave a faint smile. Nope, I'm just another single lady in this day of love. Both Freddy and Bonnie smirked. Why, another familiar face appeared in the doorway. A blonde-haired, violet-eyed girl stood with a bright smile on her face. She wasn't there for long, though. Lunging out of the doorframe, she tackled you to the floor with her signature bone-crushing hug. Bonnie and Freddy practically stared on in horror as you hit the ground hard, hitting your head. The loud yelp you emitted from the hall called forth another animatronic into the office. Foxy ran in. A haphazardly put-on worker's uniform was his only attire, his long pirate coat discarded. His face was etched with worry, his golden gleaming eyes wide with horror. When he spotted a dizzy you on the floor, Chica on top of you, he pieced together what had happened easily, calming himself down. When? He breathed, putting a hand over his heart as he leaned against the doorway. You're here. Huh? You blinked owlishly, staring up at the red, fluffy animal in front of you. You lifted a shaky finger up to the talking fox in front of you. You narrowed your eyes suspiciously. I didn't know they allowed real foxes in here. The red fox stood its head at you, the purple and brown bear leaning into your view, worried expressions on their faces. Chica, I told you to stop doing that to her. The brown bear chided, its muzzle moving in sync with the words coming out of its mouth. She hit her head when she fell. Is she all right? You frowned, asking no one in particular. Why is the big brown bear talking? Oh, man, the purple bunny muttered. She's starting to see shit. Fuck, that's not good. Gee, you think, Bonnie? The bear snarled, baring its sharp teeth. Like we couldn't already see that. You gasped in fright, unnoticed by the 4 animals in the room. The bunny ears lowered on his head, letting out a small growl as it glared over its furry shoulder at the bear. It then turned its head back to you, holding out a small paw in front of your face. YN? It called your name. How many fingers am I holding up? Your vision blurred slightly, the bright red eyes of the bunny sending a small chill down your spine even through your messed up eyesight. YN? The yellow chicken on top of you whimpered. You're not dead, right? The bear with the top hat sighed, looking at the red fox. Foxy, could you take her back home? She was working, though, the chicken pointed out, glancing at the bear. The manager noticed she's missing. I can talk to him. The bear nodded his head in understanding. Haven't spoken to him in my human form in a while, anyway. Sure to freak him out and make it worth my while. But even still, Chica, you better not do anything like this again. Wine's not like us. She's much more fragile. You can't be that rough with her. The animals' voices faded into the distance, and your consciousness going with them. You let out a soft groan, the pain in the back of your head making it hard to focus on staying awake. Not that you were trying to, anyways. You were tired from so much work in only a few hours. You were ready for a nap. The animals turned to face you again. Their glowing, colorful eyes were the last thing you saw before it all went black. Time skip. You let out a small moan. A quiet moan, stirring the attention of your red-haired companion who was at your bedside. YN, are you awake? Blinking your eyes open slowly, you focused on Foxy, who was gazing at you worriedly, a frown on his face. What happened? He sighed. Chica again. You hit your head and... You started seeing things? Oh, you muttered, sitting up slowly. Fuck. Have you been taking care of me? Foxy nodded patiently. You've been out for a while. We were all really worried. Boxy. Bonnie called a lot in the past few hours. Chica, too. Huh, you muttered. I have to call them back, I guess. You paused. Hours? Yeah. Foxy scratched the back of his neck nervously. It was a bit of a nasty fall. You winced at the pain in the back of your head. Ow. I could tell. He held out a bag of ice for you, which you gladly took. Foxy was seriously your favorite at that moment, considering he was the most helpful to you out of the four. Wyan? You gave Foxy a small smile, despite the pain you were in, then asked kindly, Yes, Foxy? He looked away, a faint blush on his cheeks. You know what day it is, right? That's right. You nodded. Valentine's Day. Foxy didn't say anything, the blush on his face growing by the second. You only sighed. No one's asked me yet. He looked up at you with a raised eyebrow, his blush still fairly evident. That's a shock. You tilted your head, huh? Well, he started, regaining his composure. I would have figured out one of the others had asked you already, or, a normal person who wasn't an animatronic. Why? You questioned curiously, genuinely confused. It's not like I have a boyfriend or anything. Foxy gave you a deadpanned look. His blush utterly disappeared as he mumbled, That's a joke, right? You're fucking gorgeous. It was your turn to blush, looking down and fiddling with the ice pack in your hand. For some reason, you had a sinking feeling that... Time skip. Foxy had left before the pizzeria closed, leaving you by yourself for an hour before your shift. That was actually really strange for him, since he had come to visit you during the day. He would always stay with you until your shift started, and then he'd walk you there himself. Him leaving early was a little odd. And what was with him, Freddy, and Bonnie asking you if you had a Valentine? Are they going to ask? You shook your head at the thought, a faint blush on your cheeks. They wouldn't, would they? You gave a faint sigh. Only one way to find out. It was quiet when you entered the pizzeria, which was odd because normally you'd be tackled to the floor by an overly exuberant Chica, greeted shyly by Foxy, have your hand kissed by Freddy, or charmed by a highly flirtatious Bonnie. Silence was new. Silence was weird. You frowned at this, moving deeper into the pizzeria. Freddy? Angel? You halted, turning to look into the office as you walked by. Freddy stood in the middle of the small room, his head tilted to the side, a kind smile on his face. Freddy, you blinked, surprised. His smile only widened. Feeling okay? Chica was a bit rough with you earlier. You fell pretty hard. You looked away, feeling embarrassed, settling for a small nod. Fine, you stated quietly. Chica didn't mean it. It's all right. You looked up with a small gasp, catching Freddy's intense blue gaze. I hope she doesn't feel bad about it, you asked, feeling concerned. The animatronics were unusually very gentle with you. Very gentle with you. Aside from Chica. Not that she meant it on purpose. She would always feel so bad about it afterwards. And consider how bad earlier today was. You wouldn't be surprised if she was beating herself up for it. Freddy shook his head. You know how she is. She felt really bad about it, but even we coaxed her out of feeling guilty. Chica knows you get upset when she feels bad about it, so she sucked it up for you. You smiled softly. The midnight bell rang throughout the building, signaling the beginning of your shift, and also the start of Valentine's Day. Wyan? Looking back up to Freddy, you were surprised to find the tall brunette no longer looking down at you. Instead, he was looking up. He was knelt down in one knee, taking your smaller hand in his larger one gently. He smiled up at you. Quietly, to your surprise, he began to sing your favorite song to you, which also happened to be about love. What a coincidence, right? It was really no surprise to you that Freddy was the lead singer. The man really did have a voice of an angel. When he reached the chorus, he raised an eyebrow at you, his smile stretching wider. You grinned, giving a small giggle, before joining Freddy in the song. To say he was delighted would have been an understatement. Freddy has never heard you sing before, and he was surprised that you were so talented. His wildest dreams could have never prepared for the loveliness of your voice. He felt himself blushing as he gazed up at you, so happily duetting with him. When the song ended, you bit your bottom lip shyly, not sure what Freddy would think of your voice. You were never usually so outgoing when it came to singing, and it wasn't something you'd always assumed you were no good at. Freddy could beg to differ, though. His sapphire blue orbs trapped your eyes in their adoring gaze, and you couldn't even put into words just how exactly love-struck Freddy looked. The faint blush on his cheeks, his big blue eyes lovingly caught by yours. Be my Valentine, angel? You only gave him a faint smile, kneeling down to his level, and cupping his face gently in your palms. You closed your eyes and placed a soft kiss on his lips, which soon turned into an extremely passionate make-out session. Freddy pulled back, gently brushing a strand of hair out of your face. I love you, YN. Bonnie. Pausing as you reached the stage, you gazed up warily at the purple-haired male in front of you. He pranced about the stage, a rose in between his teeth as he scampered over to you. His crimson eyes gleamed happily at the sight of you. YN, he chimed happily, though your name came out slightly muffled due to the rose. You tilted your head. Bonnie, what are you doing? He let out a faint chuckle, a large grin etched on his lips. Without warning, he jumped down off the stage, landing in front of you with a thud. He practically danced over to you. Reaching up to take the rose out of his mouth, he asked, You okay? Chica was seriously excited to see you today, but you probably could tell already, huh? You eyed the crimson-eyed young man carefully. I'm all right. I'm tougher than I look. He gazed at you curiously, a wide smile on his face. I'd bet you're tough enough to beat Goldie in one arm wrestling competition, princess. I wouldn't doubt it for a minute. You gave a dry laugh. No, I literally have no arm strength, Bon. I'd be toast. Bonnie feverishly shook his head, a pout on his face. No way, you could take him. You only gave a small, genuine giggle at that. The midnight bell rang throughout the building, signaling the beginning of your shift and also the start of Valentine's Day. Bonnie perked up at the sound. From out of nowhere, Bonnie pulled out a bouquet of hand-picked red roses from the garden and a heart-shaped box of chocolates that he held up to you, knelt down on one knee. You gave him a curious look, and he only smiled. Be my Valentine, princess? You practically jumped into the purple-haired male's arms, forcing him to drop his presents for you on the ground next to you while he eagerly returned your hug. He pressed his lips to your cheek sweetly, then pulled away, smiling even wider than before. Can I take that as a yes? You only grinned. You can take this as a yes. Without warning, you caught Bonnie's face in your hands and kissed him fiercely. Bon immediately reciprocated, grinning into the kiss in satisfaction. Pulling away, he smirked proudly. This is going to be the best day for you, princess, I swear, he boasted, his chest puffed up. You laughed lightly, wrapping your arms around him once again. It already is, Bonnie, you whispered, your voice a happy sigh. He nuzzled his face into your hair affectionately. I love you, YN. Foxy. The lights strung around the cove caught your eye immediately. Did Foxy do this? Stepping up to the curtains, you carefully examined the decorations. The lights were heart-shaped, and they were colored pink, red, and pink. Adorable, by any girl standards. Woo-wee. Author's note. Oh, come on. Don't give me that I don't like pink BS. If Foxy did it, no matter if it was pink or heart-shaped or whatever, I got $50 that a majority of you would have swooned all over it. It's Foxy, for crying out loud. Okay, girly. With a sharp gasp, you were pulled in through the curtains by a pair of large hands around your waist. You stumbled forward into the cove, falling into the chest of a familiar redhead. You gazed up at him curiously. Foxy? Hey, kitten. He smiled sheepishly. You blinked up at him, a small pout on your face. Is this why you left so early? He looked away shyly, giving you a nervous chuckle. Maybe? You sighed. Looking around the cove, Your jaw dropped in pure shock at the sight in front of you. Covering every inch of Foxy's lair, the pirate fox's lair, were string lights similar to the ones outside the cove, with heart-shaped stream lights lined all along the wall. There were red candles lit upon tables that stood on the side of a rose petal walkway. You looked to Foxy with a childish curiosity, your eyes wide with wonder. He only nodded his head, chuckling to himself as he gestured to the petals. Eagerly and without any more hesitation, you followed the trail of roses that led you deeper into the cove. At the end of the trail was a large banner, a simple question, written on it in fancy lettering. You gasped quietly at the spectacular sight in front of you, nearly falling backwards had it not been for Foxy being right behind you. You leaned your back against his chest, looking up at him with a grateful smile. He returned it graciously. Be my Valentine, kitten? I can't take that word seriously. You jumped onto the fox without warning, wrapping your legs around his torso as you pressed your lips into his eagerly. He stumbled slightly, caught off guard, before steadying himself and grabbing your legs around him to keep you up, then kissed you back feverishly. You could feel him grinning into the kiss, and if he were a dog animatronic, you could have easily imagined his tail wagging happily in success. Pulling away, Foxy smirked at you. I love you, kids home. Oh my gosh, I can't help myself. Goldie. Passing by the stage, you frowned at the absence of any of the animatronics. You'd been wandering around the pizzeria for several minutes now, and you hadn't found anyone. Still, it was getting ridiculous. Ridiculous enough, you were about to enlist the help of a certain psychopathic blonde bear that lived coincidentally underneath the stage you were next to. Frowning, he gave a soft sigh as you decided on what to do. Despite everything that he'd done to you and the others, you truly felt bad for Goldie. The midnight bell had rung a while ago, and it was officially Valentine's Day. It was the day of love, and you were more than certain that the poor blonde hadn't received any in a long, long time. Come to think of it, that was likely the reason he was the way that he was. He didn't perform. The others hated him, and no one else knew he existed. It was really no wonder that he had gone to the length he did to keep you around. He must be so lonely, spending all his time in his room with only himself and his books. The more you thought about it, the more you felt awful. Well, it was Valentine's Day, and you were still without a significant other to share the holiday with, so... Picking out the board that opened into the stairwell leading to his room, you began your descent until you reached the golden door. Knocking on it only twice, you received an immediate growl as a response. Fuck off, the familiar voice growled. You frowned. It's me, Goldie, YN. It was silent on his end for a while before you eventually heard shuffling around the room. The door opened slightly soon after, revealing the dull sapphire eyes of the blonde. What is it? What it is? What it is? He muttered, slightly glaring at you through the crack he'd opened in the door. You tilted your head, giving him a smile. You know what day it is? He huffed. Did you just come here to make fun of me? If you did, then leave. Your smile wilted into a frown. Goldie, I wouldn't do that. I promise. Then, he hissed, eyeing you suspiciously. What are you doing here, then? You looked down shyly, a light blush painting your cheeks. It's Valentine's Day, you started off softly. And, well, I was wondering... Goldie opened the door some more, leaning against the doorframe with a faint scowl on his face. Spit it out. Be my Valentine, Goldie? He nearly choked on the air, leaving his lungs. Me? He stuttered, his eyes wide and his cheeks a rosy color. You nodded shyly. Regaining his composure, Goldie awkwardly coughed, looking away from you. Well, all right. If you promise it isn't some trick. You looked up at him in surprise. Really? He glanced back at you in slight embarrassment. I suppose. Lunging forward, you eagerly wrap your arms around him in a hug. You know, Goldie, you giggled, you're not such a bad guy, huh? He looked down at you in shock, a bright smile on your face as you gazed up at him. No one ever looked at him like that, yet you were. His lips twitched into a small smile, something he considered impossible before you came along. I love you. Author's note. Damn it. I made Goldie's longer than everyone else's again. I swear I didn't do it on purpose. It just works out that way. Sorry. Chica. The smell of burnt pizza wafted into your nose, immediately sending your nerves into overdrive. Rushing into the kitchen, you spotted a highly upset, close to crying Chica on the floor, with flour and pizza sauce all over her face, hair, and clothes. She whined at the sight of the charcoal-looking pizza in the sink, drowned in water. You tilted your head at the scene. Chica? Her teary violet orbs shifted to look at you, and she whimpered, YN? Chica flung herself onto you, being more careful this time than she was earlier. I'm sorry, she sobbed into your shirt. You pat her head comfortingly. Chica, it's okay, really. It's not, she wailed miserably. I just wanted to make up for earlier by making you a pizza, but... A loud sob tore out of her throat as she clutched onto your shirt even tighter. It caught on fire. Chica continued to cry. You listened patiently all the while. I had to put it in the sink. You nodded understandably. We can make another, Chica, together this time. She paused at that, her watery eyes gazing up at you trustingly. Really? Really. You affirmed. I promise. The midnight bell rang throughout the building, signaling the beginning of your shift and also the start of Valentine's Day. YN! You looked at Chica to see her with a stubborn look on her face, with a light blush on her cheeks. I know I messed up earlier today. She started, then continued determinedly. I want to make it up to you. Be my Valentine, YN. You blinked quietly. Be your Valentine? You questioned, head tilted to the side. She nodded profusely, a pout on her face. I've got to make it up to you. Please, YN. You only sighed, giving the short blonde a smile. All right, you can make it up to me, Valentine. She blushed as she leaned down to peck you on the lips, making the poor, shy girl nearly faint. Love you. All right, y'all. So I did not know the Valentine's Day special would be that long. I also cannot believe 2 chapters. 2 chapters. Almost an hour. So, sorry to say, guys, but sadly, this is the last chapter we're gonna read for now in this video. Which is kind of rare. I've never read just 2 chapters unless we were talking about heroes. No, it was Imagination of something fear. That one was every 2 chapters. That was it. This is kind of a rare occurrence for me, so that's why I'm like, oh my god. Well, anywho, guys, let me know what you guys would pick. Would you have picked option number 1? Freddy, Foxy, Chica, Bonnie, or Goldie? Which one would y'all pick? That's like 4 options, right? 4 or 5 options? I wasn't counting. Personally, I probably would have picked either Foxy or Bonnie. Because low-key, like, I'm a sucker for chocolates. Foxy, Bonnie, maybe even Goldie. But, I mean, just because of what's kind of happening with these chapters and how much he's really helped us out, like, you know, it is what it is. Do y'all think that Foxy's gonna be able to get out of his I'm about to kill everybody in this room, including myself type shit? Let me know in the comments down below. For these next couple chapters, I know these about to be hella long, so mentally prepare yourselves. I might go live with this story again like I did last time, because I thought that was pretty fun, and it was like surprisingly like, okay, I can do this, and we just read. It was so interesting. It was so interesting. um, as for a little bit of like more side notes, please check the communities. I've been posting quite a bit over there. The whole little thing that I found out with at Campster Hill that has made Yandere Slasher's ex-listener or his infatuation, if y'all seen that around my channel. And I've also posted about potential new like idea voting system I want to try out, a whole bunch of stuff and whatnot. Please check out the communities. It better explains it more than I ever could at this very second moment. As for more like varied notes, I can't believe that I'm about to be almost turning 20 because March is my birthday month. So to the people who are also March is their birthday month, happy birthday month, y'all. I hope y'all have an amazing birthday. Tea. Stay warm, stay cool. You know, like, y'all got this. I hope y'all have an amazing birthday, month, year. Y'all know how it is, you know, and whatnot. Have fun, stay safe, you know. And who's also celebrating their 20th birthday, we can relate. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It shows how old I am. But also, like, how long I've been really, like, we've been, like, in this journey of this channel. Like, it's so insane to me. Like, thank you guys. I love you guys so much. Well, anywho, I don't want to keep y'all here for too long. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more amazing videos, guys. If you have any more suggestions before I put the votes out, let me know in the comments down below, okay? Thank you! Also, bye for now, y'all. Bye and peace.